everybody. There's always something janky going on. wait. Let me play it. Why is the video not playing? Yeah. Hold on. Let me get the video to play. Bring it back out.
This is The Righteous View with your hosts, Adia Bayes, Deborah Hoskins, and Christina McCormick.
Welcome everyone to
Hello.
you. Seems like we're always having technical difficulties, but here we go. And we,
Woo.
the Righteous View, welcome everyone to our podcast, our Thursday night podcast. We have regarding topics concerning women of all ages. Our mission, again, is to foster righteous, open dialogue on topics that have been taboo within our social and our social communities. We want to cultivate open and healthy discussion between mothers and daughters, husbands and wives, mature women and young women. And our goal is to educate and provide factual information to these demographics concerning our biological, physiological, and spiritual existence. So, my introducing my co-host is Christina McCormick and Deborah Hoskins.
Good evening to everyone.
Yeah.
And
we want to encourage you
it's not finished.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So, our special guests tonight, panelists, are Lori Byers, Gloria Cuttershore, Casina McDermott, Lami Simmons, and Emmanuel Natasi. So they're going to come on. Yes, we thank them for my little clapping is not working now. Okay, I guess it doesn't want to clap. There we go. Okay. I'm sorry. I cut you off.
Get to.
Can you say kiddo? Okay, like oh my goodness, welcome everybody. Oh my goodness, this mixed panel of young women and men will share their views and perspectives on relationships tonight. So we want to welcome them back to our podcast. Welcome.
Yeah.
And forward to continuing this discussion.
Yes. Good evening to everyone again, and welcome to our panelists and our guests tonight. We want to encourage you to tune in on Thursday evenings at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here for thought-provoking topics that will hopefully stimulate conversations that are sometimes hard or uncomfortable.
Yes, we are live on Facebook. After He Break Awakening and the Righteous View. If you missed a podcast, you can view it and past podcasts on our YouTube channel, right? At the Righteous View. Join that channel as well. If you enjoyed the topics and the discussions have helped you in any way, please subscribe, like, and hit the notification button.
All right, let's get to going. We're trying to get Emmanuel back on. He's having a hard time getting on. Let me send him the link really quick. We're going to continue in our discussion on relationships. And so we have some questions that we are going to go into and share. So what we're looking at is we're going to just let our panel open up, and the questions. Some are questions, some are open ended statements. And we're just going to let them go ahead and open up the discussion with the first question. The first question is, how can we more effectively word statements that are often miscommunicated or misunderstood? How can we more effectively word statements that miscommunicated?
Who is that? Is that Emmanuel?
Yeah,
Might have to
Emma-
mute.
Emmanuel, put yours on the answer. Okay. Well, that's
No. Emmanuel, put your turn your microphone on. I'll do it.
yeah, I've turned it on.
You, yeah, there you go. Okay. Okay. I don't know why he is echoing like that. All right, so they go. So how we gonna do this? Y'all gonna volunteer to go? One person gonna start it.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Do we
um,
have the question up on?
Yeah, it's in the chat. Can y'all see it?
No, I don't see it. Do everyone else see it?
Okay, let me show.
Yes.
okay.
I can
There
see
it
it.
is.
Now it's
Right.
okay. All right. Okay.
So I guess I can start us off. So the question is, how can we more effectively word statements that are often miscommunicated or misunderstood? I like to start with an example just so it's not like just random. An example that comes to mind for me of something that's miscommunicated or misunderstood is um, men are more logical than women, or women are more emotional than men. Okay, so that's the statement. How can we more effectively communicate something like that? To me, I think adding the context in which we're speaking. It might require more words, but I think context is extremely important when you are trying to, communicate or explain an idea to someone. So
definitely. I agree with that. Context matters. Also, and I'm continuously learning, your tone and timing matters. So like when to say something, sometimes even though people may be in the wrong, it's like you may not have to correct it right then. You gotta let things settle down real quick, because if you're trying to correct them right then while they have all of this stuff going on in their mind, it's just gonna be um, another blow up. So it's just rather just like, okay, knowing when is the right time, and then also just using the tone. Like, it's not what you say, but how you say it. Being gentle, a gentle word definitely goes a long way, rather than always just having to be harsh. So we can effectively word stuff by definitely thinking before we speak, and yeah, being gentle with it.
I would like to add to that, not using absolute statements. So saying like all men, every woman, very like using very extreme language to communicate with the person that you're talking to. And I think that goes along with tone, timing, and context, because I think a lot of times miscommunication happens because of generalized
statements like, all women do that, so therefore you're putting that person in the bucket when that might not be that person's character. Or, all the men that I've ever dealt with, well, you've never dealt with this man before. So I think it automatically puts up a defense and a wall for the other party, because you're putting them with these like generalized statements or these absolute statements. You're putting them in automatically a negative category. Like, very rarely are absolute statements positive. Very rarely, very rarely. So I think, especially when it comes to wanting someone to understand you, it's really important that you keep it right here in the present and with that person, versus using very general absolute wording.
And I'll add to that as far as like absolute language, like to say, well, you always or you never,
Mhm.
avoid doing that as well, because it's not always, it's not never have they ever, but,
Mhm.
make it clear that is maybe you remember a couple of times of it happening, but it's not an always, it's not a never, or assuming that they know what you mean. You know, it effective communication does take you, as someone mentioned earlier, it may take more words to get out what it is that you're actually trying to say, but say what you need to say as much as you need to put in there so that they understand clearly what is on your mind.
I think also coming from like a neutral place. So similar to what Lami said about like tone and timing, I
Mhm.
do think that there are situations where you have to address certain things like in that moment, because otherwise the moment can pass and now you got to wait for another similar moment, and it might have been like something major for you. So I do think there are situations where you have to address it right then and there. Like, it might be something that's very triggering from your past, something that like is a non-negotiable for you. And so to let it slide may not be the most beneficial to this dating experience or this conversation that you're having with this person. But I do think that when it comes down to wanting to be understood, it's very important to, one, breathe and give that person time and place to know, like, hey, this is something that we need to discuss. And I think a lot of times misunderstanding and miscommunications often sheds a light of maybe people's, we say, red flags, and it can often illuminate maybe you should not be talking to this person, because how a person reacts or responds in miscommunication or when they're misunderstood is very enlightening into how they're going to communicate on big things and small things. So I don't necessarily think that miscommunication or misunderstandings are bad things. I think they often illuminate areas where we can see someone that might have been hiding. Like, everything, life isn't always, roses and gumdrops and candy and good times. So I do think that misunderstandings and miscommunications sometimes come as a form of like testing for us to see also how we can respond and how we can communicate, if we feel that we are being misunderstood. Because I think a lot of times people, are quick to anger or quick to
Mhm.
shutting down or are quick to, just whatever their emotion may be when they are misunderstood. And I think that it's important in those moments, going back to what Lami said, to use that timing to your benefit of communicating why you feel misunderstood and or why you are misunderstanding, like acknowledging like, hey, I don't understand what you're saying. I think sometimes we also, like, on the other side, like, we don't tell people that we don't understand what they're saying. We just say okay and keep it pushing. So I think it's important that if you need clarity, that you ask for clarity. Like, there's nothing wrong with saying, like, I don't understand where you're coming from, even if you don't want to care. Like, you might not be like, you know what, I don't care about this argument. Like, I don't care about your point of view. But being in like a dating, we're talking about like when you're dating someone, when you're wanting to get to know them, right? Like, you could probably care less, right? Sometimes about certain things that other people are passionate about. But I think it is important that if you don't understand, that you seek clarity, because you also want to be understood.
Mhm.
I think we're waiting for Emmanuel to respond to that one.
Yeah, okay. Well, me, I would think more about my opponent's background because you have to understand a person's education level before you use the kind of vocabulary that you want to use for that person. Because me communicating to someone who is, you know, in the tertiary level, I will know how to communicate to that person that the person will understand me clearly. And me talking to an ordinary folks, I will know how to use the words that the person might not misunderstand or get me wrong. So it's me moreover, I like to look at the person's background, the person's understanding of words before I use the words for them. And when I'm talking to them, I use the word specifically. I don't use vocabulary that they will try to think about it more. You see.
Can I say on the heels of that, I totally agree with that, especially kind of at the beginning of the, I guess, talking stages, or if you're new into a relationship. When I was in college, one of the classes I took was, um, well, it was a couple classes because my major was public health and specifically health education. So it was talking about targeting communities. And one of the things that they told us was when you make informational flyers or pamphlets or banners, whatever, make it at a fourth grade reading level, a fourth grade comprehension level. So I say all of that to say looking at someone's background is very, very important, because if you come in with all of these really um, not intense ideas, but like, let's just say big words, or things they may not understand, then they just really won't understand, and then you'll waste time trying to explain whatever word versus getting to the actual point. So I totally agree with that.
Mhm.
I agree with everybody. That was great. Okay.
That was great. Okay, let's move on to the next question. How can we help you feel understood versus criticized during a disagreement? How can one help, or how can you help each other feel understood, or help the person feel understood versus them feeling criticized during the disagreement or the challenge or conversation?
I'll go first on this one. I recently had a conversation with somebody and they were talking about like intention versus impact. And I think it's really important that when you are seeking to be understood, especially in a time of disagreement, disagreements span on a spectrum, right? Like it could be just like a simple like, I don't agree with you. I don't agree with what you did, or it could go to like something that's like life altering, life changing. But I do think that for me, I would try my best to communicate. I always tell like whoever I'm dating, like I'm a very sensitive person. I say that up front. Like you cannot just say anything to me. And I think it's important to own who you are in your emotional state and in your character, because we live in a society now where it's very cookie cutter, where women are expected to be like to have a hard shell and to like be very nonchalant and not care about what men say, not care. Well, I care. Okay. Like I'm very sensitive. Like if you say too much to me, I might cry. Okay. And so it's very important for me to communicate that, so that way if we do have a disagreement and I'm getting a little emotional, then it's not being criticized as manipulation, it's not being criticized as weakness, it's not being criticized as, oh, you're just trying to cry to get over, like again, manipulation, people pleasing, things of that nature. And so I think it's important that you give whoever you're dating, and I'm more so talking about like when you're in like almost partnership stages, not like, you just going on 1 or 2 dates, you just met this person kind of thing. But when you're starting to build more of an intimate relationship with someone, I think it's very important to express to them how you seek to be understood, so that way when there is a bad intention made, they can understand the impact that it may have on you, right? And I think a lot of times we say in disagreements like, "Oh, I didn't mean to do that," or it wasn't intentional. Well, your intention doesn't matter. It's all about the impact on the person, right? And I know a lot of us know that from our childhoods, right? Like our parents a lot of times didn't intentionally do things that would affect us in our adulthood, but we still have to deal with the impact of those things. So I think it's important when, at least for myself, when I'm talking to someone, to help me feel understood, I tell them like I ask a lot of questions. I'm naturally inquisitive. I'm gonna ask a lot of questions. If we're having a disagreement, I'm not coming from a place of you did this. I'm asking questions of like, well, why did you do that? Why are you feeling this way? Like, because I'm trying to get to the root of things. But sometimes those questions can come off with the wrong person. It can
This
come
is
off
The
as
Righteous View
like an
with your hosts,
oop,
Adia Bayes, Deborah Hoskins, and Christine.
it can come off as like an interrogation if you're not careful, right? It can come off as like you're interrogating someone instead of having a conversation with them. So I think for me, if like, I guess the way I'm reading this question is like, how can a man help me feel understood if versus criticized during the disagreement? It would be to like simply listen and understand who I am as a person versus who they've dealt with as a whole, from as a woman. Like Lori said, like this emotional being. Like, yeah, I am very emotional. I'm very sensitive, but I'm also logical. I also know how to listen and how to respond and how to communicate my emotions. So
That
I would
was
also,
nice. Go
yeah,
ahead.
that was, I'm sorry. I was just thinking body language, because, having more open, nonverbal kind of cues type thing of like your body being open to receive what they're saying rather than you rolling your eyes or the huffs and puffs that we do at times because they said something like, oh, you reading too much into it or it's not that serious. And also not communicating those type of things or saying that directly because to them it is that serious. So it may not be serious to you, but for them, and it may be another layer of like a childhood trauma for them as to why they are now triggered and bringing it up. So your body language will also help to allow a person to feel understood and heard.
Definitely. Definitely. Also, for me, I would say just again going back to understanding why. Like, why am I acting out? Why am I acting in this behavior? If you're trying to understand my perspective, then now, like, if you can step outside of your shoes and put yourself in my shoes, that helps me feel understood. And I love whenever I actively see, oh, okay, you're getting out of your own head, and now you're starting to see why I'm upset because I can do the same thing. I can, you know what? Because I feel like that is so stupid. Why are you so emotional over that little thing? Cool, I get it. Let me get out of my head, and let me see. Okay, oh, okay, you didn't get that loving whenever you was younger. So now you expect this right now, and it may be a little "I love you" before I got off the phone to me, but it was something way bigger than that. That's a whole different trigger to you. So just like the little things and being able to remove yourself from your body into their body, and y'all supposed to be eventually working towards one anyway. So yeah, you just doing that helps me feel understood. But I feel criticized when one I'm not able to finish my sentences. I want to at least be able to finish my sentence before you respond. And I also feel, I ain't gonna say criticized, but I feel disrespected when whenever I am getting talked back to as far as somebody is not listening to understand, they're just listening to respond. you know. So it's just like, okay, I'm talking, and you already got a response ready. You already ready to rather than actually digesting and hearing what I said. Because if you just listen to what I said, you would know that's not what I meant. So yeah, that's why I'm at with it.
Yeah, I agree with Lami on that because it's very troublesome when you try to understand someone, but if you don't put yourself in that person's shoe, it's very difficult for you to understand the person. So
Mhm.
I agree on that one with you. And yeah, when I'm talking to you and you are not giving me the attention that I want, I feel like we are not on the same page. So that one I won't even bother myself trying to explain things to you. I'll just ghost you too. So let me I agree on you with that one.
So I totally I love all of that. And I was sitting here thinking what else could I really add? No, I what comes to mind for me is recall. So there's something, I think they call it reflective listening, where you restate what the person said, but kind of in your own way. So you're internalizing what they said. Not only in that moment are you reflecting on what they said, but also recalling conversations that you've had in the past. So if I've said I don't like peppers, and yet every time you make a burger, you put peppers on my burger, that tells me that you weren't listening. That tells me that you don't really care about what I like and dislike. That tells me that you're doing what you want to do because you wanted to do it, not because I wanted you to do that. So, yeah, recall what I want, what I remember what I want to remember. I'll say that.
Mhm.
Sort kind of. I guess that changes as we get older, but okay.
Yeah, selective memory.
Yeah. I feel like Christina got something to say. Go ahead and say it.
Well, just this y'all talk, but sometimes I feel like men believe we're a little chatty. Now I can't say all men, but I'm just talking in general. And our husband be like, mm-hmm. I said, I must sound like wong, 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 wong. That's what I sound like to you. Okay, I'm done.
I think that there is a certain element though of like just our natural condition as men and women, right? I do feel more often than not women are more vocal about our emotions, and I feel like men are more eternal with their emotions, or they go to like their other male dominated safe spaces to talk
Mhm.
about their shared experiences. And I think that's just like, I feel like that's like nature. Like I just feel like that's just how, and maybe it's a nature versus nurture societal development, but I don't necessarily see that as a bad thing. I think where it becomes detrimental is like what Lori said as far as the recall portion of, are you actually listening to the things that are important? Because honestly, not everything I say is important. Sometimes I just want to vent. I'm just talking about, I got my two lip glosses at my desk and I can't believe I love this lip gloss. I can't believe I spent money on this lip gloss and blah, 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 blah. But I really don't need you to recall that. I need you to recall that I'm allergic to mango. Okay, so like if we're at a restaurant and like my throat is seasoned up, you can be like, oh my gosh, was there mango in something she had? You know what I'm saying? Not caring about the two lip glosses I was talking about 2 days ago. So I do think that there is a level of like, sifting through. And I think that's even for us as women when men are talking about stuff. Cause like sports, go sports. I can learn, I know enough to get by, but like not enough to really care. Unless that's something like we really need to care about, right? But I don't necessarily see it as a bad thing that, you know, they hear it as wom wom wom, because sometimes we hear them as wom 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 too. Sometimes even
Mm,
as parents, it's like kids just like my son, he's 8, and he tells me
yeah.
about his whole day, and I just be like, oh okay. Oh,
Hmm.
okay. He really thinks I'm engaged, but he's just talking to me about Fortnite and the little girls on the bus and him walking home and like,
Yeah.
but I know that he has a party tomorrow and I had to get snacks.
Right.
That was important, right? So I think it is just part of our human condition sometimes to cancel out the noise and pay attention to the things that are important. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
Mhm.
Just really quick, it's funny, you all should say this because I think, Lori, I know you'll remember this. I said one time at MHG during Midrash that all the women should just start saying, wah, 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 wah. And we just start communicating back and forth saying, wah, 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 and see what the men would do. Because sometimes that's how you do feel like you're just saying words like Charlie Brown, the teacher. You never know what the teacher is saying, you know, they just saying sounds. But it is important for those important things to come out. I'm allergic to onions. Please, no onions on my food. It's important, those things you want to, seal to memory, especially if you're trying to build a relationship with the person. Everybody good?
Mhm.
Okay, well, we're going to go on to question number 3. What are some examples of wording that helps you feel open and respected during serious conversations? Um, what kind of words, what are some examples of even the opposite? So, the examples of wording that makes you feel respected and open to share, and what would be something that would make you shut down and make you feel completely disrespected.
I'll just think of sort of a quick one. To simply say, I value your opinion and I want to hear what you have to say about this matter. Because there's, and to go along with that, the opposite would be like, as I start to talk, you just automatically interrupt me. I say something and you want to immediately respond to that, but I haven't finished my statement because where I'm going with my statement and where you interrupted at, you kind of went on a whole nother tangent, a whole nother um, field of that wasn't where I was going. So saying that you value my opinion and you want to hear what I have to say and allow me to get it all out, because I am one that sometimes I ramble. So he needs to be able to keep up with me. Like if I start at A and I go to Q, I might bring it back to B and we're going to go to C and then T. We're eventually going to get to Z, but just hang in there.
It's funny that you mentioned rambling because yeah, me too. And I've learned like you have to, well, I'll say I've learned like I've had to break things down. So like how I think and it's what is a straight line does not translate coming out as a straight line. So I can't
Hmm.
go from A to T to Z and then expect him to understand what I'm saying because it makes sense to me, but that logic does not make sense once it's said out loud. But I want to say for me, going back to what Christina said about body language, it's not necessarily wording for me, it's literally body language. So eye contact makes me feel very open and respected during conversation. Holding my hand and like looking me in my eye, like as I'm talking, lets me know that you're completely here with me in this moment and that you're open to listening to and receiving what I'm saying versus a person, in my opinion, can verbally communicate with you but be completely distracted. Like they can be looking at their
Mhm.
phone, they can be looking at something behind you if y'all are out in a, at an open space. Um so body language oftentimes means a lot more to me than the verbal word, cuz that eye contact, you looking me in my eye lets me know like we're here. You are understanding what I'm saying. Even if you aren't understanding what I'm saying, it's showing me that you're open to the seriousness of this moment. And at least giving me the respect. I'm very big on respect. So at least giving me the respect to hear me out, and to hear my concern, even if it doesn't seem serious to you, right? It's serious enough to me that I want to have a sit down conversation about it. And so I think those like loving gestures of eye contact, holding my hand, being in an intimate space that's not sexual, but that is close, I think is important as well for me. To feel open and respected. And also, I don't like having serious conversations in public. So, like, if I say, hey, we need to have a serious conversation, you say, okay, let's go to lunch, I'm immediately not open because I don't want Tom, Dick, and Harry down the street or at our table next to us. Like, I don't feel like I can talk very as open as I would be in a public space because what if I start crying? Now I'm crying over tacos. I don't want to do that. That's not fun, right? So, but if we're like at home or even if we're in like a more intimate setting where we're in a corner of a restaurant, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a little, locations, timings are different or whatever, but I just think that body language for me is way more important oftentimes than the words you say. Cause I don't know, I'm just a big like your actions have to line up with your words. And I feel like
Mhm.
people talk all day. Like you can tell me you understand all day or you hear me or you're sorry. But if those actions aren't lining up, then I don't feel like you were open to the conversation, nor do I feel like I was respected during the serious conversation. So
I like that. I like what y'all just said. Now, Gloria, I did frown my face up whenever you said something about if y'all are in a public place, you don't really want to talk about serious things. Like, come on, because what if we need to talk about it in a public place? You know what I'm saying? Like, say if the only place we can link up is at a lunch, you know what I mean? Or some sort like that. But I get it though. I to respect the face space because you said you may start crying. You don't want to be crying in front of other people that may make you feel embarrassed or anything like that. So these are considerations that us men would have to think of, and it's just like, we just trying to get to the solution. That's all. But y'all have a whole bunch of other things that we would have to be keeping in mind as well. But I'm big on the body language as well. Like if I'm sitting here talking to you and I'm trying to tell you how I feel and you're not making eye contact with me, I'm just gonna be like, you know what, bro, you got it. You don't want to hear what I gotta say. You don't want to hear what I gotta say. You're not even looking at me. You're not invested in me. Some wording, I would say some type of wording to help me understand. So like, hey, well, help me understand where you're coming from. Some type of wording that actually shows me that they actually care about where I'm coming from rather than again you always. So that would be the other one. The what shuts me down is the you always doing this or or just being dismissive. Once you be dismissive towards me, it's all right. You got it because I can shut down real quick, and that is and the reason why I shut down is just to protect. You know what I'm saying, to protect myself, and it's not even on just trying to like an ego thing. It's just what? Okay, cool. You don't want to understand me. I'll protect myself. I'm not gonna cast these pearls before swine right now. Right now, you swine to me, because oink oink. Right, I'm done.
that escalated. That escalated. But I think that's a very, like what you said, mommy, is a very key part of why it's important to have the conversations up front of what makes a person feel respected and what makes a person feel open in conversations like that. Because as we see, like mommy just went from like 0 to 10, like cool. Like, I'm good on you. You swine. What? That's insane. We were just in love 2 minutes ago. But like, it can really be that, like, it can really be that serious for people. And I think sometimes we laughing about it now because we're familiar with each other. But like, in those moments, it's not funny. Like, I don't feel respected. I don't feel heard. I'm gonna back up. This is my defense mechanism to save and protect me. You don't care, obviously. So cool. I'm good on you. And I understand that. And when I just want to, for clarification, when I say like a open public space, I mean like, don't take me to like, that's why I said tacos, like a happy hour, margaritas and tacos. That's not the right location for us to have a serious conversation. It's music playing, people like, that's not. But like, if we're in a more intimate location, like a coffee shop where we can sit in a corner, that's an open space, but that's different. There's a different type of intimacy. So I just wanted to clarify that. But yeah, the swine, understood.
So I guess for me, definitely body language, because I'm a body language person. If you're not interested, cool. Neither am I. Holla. Um, that just is what it is. But I think something that makes me feel open and respected is a phrase such as I've noticed that you, or I've noticed sometimes when I've noticed. So just putting in some, I don't want to say evidence, but some concrete something to say this is why I'm coming to you with whatever the issue is. So not just I feel like you did, okay, but just using language that lets me know that you have been observant and not just in your own world and in your own feelings and thoughts and whatever. Yeah.
Well, to me, you just asking me for my opinion makes me feel open and it makes me feel respected. And not just by you imposing everything you say on me, like I should just say yes to everything you say. Nah, I'm not going to agree for you on that one. So you asking me for my opinion, man, I feel well respected and I'll go with you. Even though if you're not looking at me, I don't care. So far as you ask me for my opinion, I'm okay.
So, um, so what are some? Well, I guess the
Oh,
example of
hello.
the opposite,
Am I here?
Casino.
Yes,
Did you respond already?
yes. I was.
Oh, okay, okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I was
I Yes. Go ahead.
sorry. I was gonna throw something out, and then my internet decided to cut off for a second. But I was gonna say an example of the opposite for me. Um, what makes me feel disrespected and just completely closed off is there's that memory. I forgot what I was about to say before the internet cut off. Sorry, guys. We can move on if you want.
Um, I just thought of an opposite for me as I said, I can sometimes ramble, but if you just bust out, okay, get to the point, I'm gonna shut down point blank. I'm going to shut down. Never mind. Obviously, it's not that important to you.
Facts. I remember what I was gonna say. I was gonna say accusatory questions. That drives me absolutely bonkers. because you've already made a conclusion. You've already come to whatever thought you have solidified whatever thought you had, and you didn't give me a chance to defend myself or whatever the case may be. Accusatory questions drive me bonkers. That's it.
Okay, that's great. Great, great, great. Because I think a lot of times we make those mistakes in using those always, never,
Mm.
um, when it may have been two times. Or even if it was three times, it's not always, so we do make those, and that doesn't help the conversation. It helps to really fan the negative part, to bring a negative outcome. So what you're trying to do is bring a positive. Y'all are giving some really good. I mean, y'all are giving some
Y'all
good
tell it on me. I was like,
points.
I'll
I'm
tell
telling.
you, if you don't hurry up and get to the point, brother, listen, don't nobody
Yeah,
got.
me too. Kind of like a bottom line kind of person. I'm like, okay, let's get to what is the bottom line. Just let's just bring it and get to the bottom line. And yeah, sometimes. So y'all helping the old people, the
Yeah,
old, old the more vintage people tonight.
thank you.
Sometimes you can. I mean, you do. You get in those conversations, that I don't want to cast my pearls to the swine. Don't you call me no swine. Don't stop. Just stop right there. 'Cause this is not gonna go well. Ah. Oh my goodness, Lami, that was funny. Okay.
He said, "You
So
better stop right there. Don't you call me no swine."
right, you call me no swine. Oh my goodness, that's good. Um, and just one thing, point out, Gloria, great point. I think the position, the place where you are is very important. Very important. Um, that's just very important. I think it's terrible when I've seen or know of people who were, they were told that they broke up with their longtime boyfriend, girlfriend, and it was done in a public kind of setting. Things not working out. I mean, really, you gonna bring me to out to eat in a restaurant, people all around, so you can break up with me? Wow. Yeah, um that's not cool. But there you go, communication. So
It's not cool, but people do it, so they hope that you won't make a scene.
correct. And that's a coward.
Mm.
And that's the
Absolutely.
first
I
thing
agree.
is make a
Yeah.
scene.
That
Throw the
right.
water in their face.
That's the first thing I'm gonna do. Flipping
Flip them
tables.
tables. I don't blame you. I promise you, I don't blame you. That is crazy. That is cowardice, though. Like, brings,
Yeah.
hey, let's go and talk over this over, what I'm saying, some lunch. Already with the intentions that, yeah, this ain't gonna really last. Come on, that's crazy. They deserve everything that come with it.
Yep. Yeah,
Yes,
this for free at the house.
not good, not good. Okay, so let's everybody we're going to move on to question number 4. So this is
Did she freeze? Oh, she froze. Okay, I'm gonna wait. Okay, there you go. There you
I
go.
am.
We can see you, hear you. Well, she froze again. Let me see. I could get her back. Yeah, everybody getting kicked out. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
here we are. I'm back.
Okay.
Good. Emmanuel got kicked out.
Yeah, Prophetess was trying to get in too. I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna wait for them to get back.
Okay. There, we'll kind of wait for them to come back on. But those are really good points. And thinking about how things should be done, the body language, the facial expressions, all of that, goes into, communication. I know that effective communication is a class that, in college you have to take effective communication in some research classes, I remember. And so that people would be able to communicate their research so that people understand what they're talking about. So, okay, we have Emmanuel back. So we're going to go ahead on to question number 4. This is an open ended statement. Some unfair misconceptions you think women have about men are, and then for the men, wait a minute, for the women, right? Some unfair misconceptions you think men have about women are.
Something unfair, I would say, about us men is like the strength, because we, of course, we're supposed to be strong, but an unfair misconception is that like just because we're strong don't mean that we can't feel, we can't, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just like we're not just objects and things to just do. You know what I'm saying? Hey, go do, boom, boom. Yeah, we hold a lot of things, we carry a lot of weight, and we carry it well, but at the same time, while carrying it well, we still carrying a lot of things. So I think one misconception is just that like we don't have things that we're carrying. It's just a lot of times we just move it to the side because we want to serve our women, you know, and serve whoever else we have to serve because that's what we're doing. But definitely that like our strength uh, equals, oh yeah, they don't, it's okay. They're a man, they'll be okay, you know. Also, like whenever I'm logical, like that, my logical means like I'm hardened to what uh what we're experiencing in the moment. It's like no, I'm just logical because I understand that yes, we're feeling this now, but we're just feeling. Feelings come and go. We have an end goal that we got to get through. So like yeah, I get the feelings and I have to talk about that, but the logic is just more so just for the endurance and the perseverance, you know. So thinking that whenever I approach our situations logically, that it's just like, oh, you don't care about it. But nah, we care. It's just we care so much that we're thinking about the future. We're thinking so far ahead rather than just staying here dwelling on what's going wrong, you know. So I would say those two right there is something big of a misconception.
I would say for me, one being the strong, independent Black woman. Like, eh, I, I didn't like. It's not what I want. I'm in this, and I'm doing for myself and being independent because I'm. That's what I have to do. I'm a grown woman who does not have someone to fall back on to cover my expenses and buy me this, buy me that. So I think that's one misconception that we want that strong independence, and not necessarily, not all women, at least not for me. I'm I'm not saying that I don't want to be independent like all the time. Ooh, excuse me. But yeah, I would like to have a relationship where, as some people say, the soft life. I would like to experience that. And I had a second one, and now I forgot what it is. Lori, you're rubbing off on me. Someone else.
Well, mine is the misconception that ladies have about men, that all men are cheaters, and now it's kind of thing that is allowed in the society, that in a relationship when a guy cheats, they say it's normal. That's guy's nature. And that's a huge misconception. It's not every guy that is a cheat in a relationship. And the ladies are is the one that they said ladies are weaker vessels and they always have to depend on men to survive. No, it's never true. We know some ladies out there that they have made it huge than their partners, and that doesn't mean that every lady is weaker vessel or every lady has to depend on the husband or the partner to survive. That's one is a huge misconception that we have to deal with for me.
I guess I'll go. Um, Thank y'all for sharing those. That was really insightful. Um, my example, or what I think a common misconception about women is, it seems like many men think, I'm trying not to like all men. No, no, that's not what I'm trying to say. But I think it is a generalization. So it seems like many men think all women just want money. Like provision is like, you have to provide for me, you have to provide for me, you have to provide for me. Whereas I think it's more about um, security and stability, less about you doing all of the work to provide everything that I need. There may be some women who do want that, but a lot of the women that I know personally and that I've, just heard about in the ether, hearing women speak on this subject, it's more about security. Like, I don't want to question, are the bills going to be paid? If we're splitting the bills, you know what? Cool. Let's split them. I'm cool with that. If I'm paying this bill and you're paying that bill, cool. I'll pay this one, you pay that one. But as long as nothing goes lacking, I think for the most part, women would be happy with that. I I think so. Yeah.
Oh, we can't hear
You're
you.
muted, Gloria.
And maybe some. Yeah,
Uh-oh, we lost her.
yeah. I told her to come back in.
There she is.
Uh, no, what happened? Let me.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I think it's because Micah called me to tell me he was outside playing. I digress. I was just saying that I agree with pretty much everyone's misconceptions, and it was very insightful to hear the guys say like their misconceptions. So thank y'all for sharing that. But I also think that for me, being a woman, similar to like what Cassina was saying about the strong, independent Black woman, and similar to what Lori was saying about security, I think that there's a common misconception that an ambitious woman doesn't want a man to be quote unquote a man. That just because I'm ambitious and I have goals does not mean I want to wear the pants in a relationship. Like, actually, I don't want to think about anything. Actually, like when I come home, I want to put like leave work there and like the professional blah 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 there and just simply be like close my mind off. And I think that again, that looks different in every partnership. I think that there are partnerships where the man does pay all the bills and that works for that partnership, or there it is 50-50. But I think more than anything, a lot of misconceptions are also based around to Lori's point, security, and I think emotional security more than anything else. Because if I feel emotionally secure with you, then I pretty much that translates, in my opinion, to trust. That translates to me knowing that you can do the things that you say you're going to do. And I think emotional security does not come without that. Like you can't have one without the other. I can't have emotional security if I don't trust you, if I don't believe you, if I don't think that you're going to be able to provide and support or do the things that you say you're going to do. So I think that sometimes men mistake ambitious women as women that don't want a man. Like just because I'm striving to be this great thing that like I see in my head or my dreams and goals doesn't mean I don't want a man. Right. I think also another misconception is that a well kept woman is vain. So, like a woman that cares about her appearance, that cares about her hair, her nails, her makeup. I think a lot of times that gets demonized, if I can use that word, as someone who is vain and doesn't care. Like that's materialistic, and that's not the case. Because quite frankly, no man, in my opinion, wants a woman that isn't well kept in whatever way that man feels is attracted to that well keptness. Some men like a woman that's more natural and that to them is well kept. Some men like a woman that has more enhancements in their, in their feature, the physical features, and that to them is well kept. But I don't think that there's any man that's not going to be attracted to a woman that does not keep herself up well. And whatever that looks like as far as physical attraction. Again, that varies. So I think that that's also a misconception too, right? Like, or a woman that works hard shouldn't be able to spend her money on materialistic things. I think that oftentimes there are some men that feel like women that spend their money on designer items are frivolous with their spending, or again are vain with their spending, when may not simply be the case. Because I think women and men put value into different things. Some women are about bags, shoes, perfumes and other, but some men are about, like game systems or like collectibles or sports trading. Like, I think that just comes down to our differences as genders oftentimes. But I think that a lot of times at least I have found sometimes like being a woman that is a quote unquote very feminine, very girly girl, it's like, oh, you're gonna be hard to keep up with because you have your hair done, you have your nails done. Oh, you're going to expect me to pay for things. And it's like, I mean, I've already been doing this without you. So it's not necessarily an expectation unless that's something that you say you would like to provide for me. And if we get to that point where you know what I mean? So I think a lot of times that can be like a woman that is quote unquote pretty or well kept materialistically can be seen as vain. And I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's nice. I think that can come off very mean. Um, because I don't think men get the same judgment for being quote unquote well kept. Like a man that keeps his hair cut versus a woman that keeps her hair done. I don't think it's seen the same way as being well groomed. But yeah.
Did,
Who
did
did go?
everyone? Did
Lee
everyone?
Emmanuel.
Emmanuel.
Did you go?
I'm here. I've
So
shared my opinion. I've shared my thoughts already, so I'm good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's one thing that. Am I echoing?
You were, but not now.
Oh, okay. That's one thing that doesn't feel good because it does come across very offensive when people make assumptions on the way that you look, on as to how they assume a relationship can be built or not built. And that's even in a lot of things, in friendships, in just dealing with people that we sometimes can take, like with that old saying, you can't judge a book by its cover. And just because a person, that that's just something that's is I get, and it's not. I'm telling you, it's cross cultural because we deal with that, in the United States, and as Emmanuel can tell you, it's the same thing here. That a person will judge you according to how you look, how you dress, what you have, and think it's one way because of that. So you're judging that person right off the bat without, really getting to know um, that this is what that person is about. So that can be very taken as very judgmental and can be very, offensive, you know. And it doesn't have to be between male and female. Like I said, that can be in just regular relationship. Anyone have anything else you want to say on that
I
question?
was, I was going to say, I'm guilty of the misconception of men not caring about their appearance or maybe caring too much because I work in retail stores and I'm seeing that there are becoming more sections and more options of hair care and body wash and deodorants and all this grooming stuff for men. And it's like, since when do men care about all of that? But yeah, guilty.
Yeah, I think that's such a huge misconception though, because when do men not care? I think men have always cared, right? And I think now the markets are opening up because more men are talking about how much they care about like being well groomed and things of that nature. But I feel like even in our community, like men going to get their hair cut every 2 weeks is normal, right? Barbershops are normal, just like beauty salons are normal. So I think that on the reverse side of that, though, I think that there's also a misconception that if a person does not look well groomed to you, that they do not care about their appearance or that they do not care about, um, that they don't care or they don't have any values or any standards. Like, I think it's very important, like what Ambita was just talking about, of like not judging a book by its cover and being okay to say, like, that's not my preference and walking away. Like, not trying to make people fit into your preference. Because that's not fair either. You wouldn't want that done to you.
And to add to that, we do care about our appearance a lot. Because if I want my partner to look gorgeous for me, I also have to look handsome for her too. So I have to appear neat for her.
Because how can two walk together unless they agree? I can't be fly and you not be fly too. And that's just, I feel like I was raised with that. Like, we got to be fly together. Okay. And I've been in relationships where I've been the fly one, and then people, I bring you around, and it's like, who's your
Y'all don't
friend?
match.
And I'm like, oh, this is my boyfriend. Why? Like, so it's just, it's very important that, that you, to Emmanuel's point, that you are you are dating your preference, and you're making sure that someone is dating you because they actually are attracted to you as well, and that you're not being an experiment.
You know what? I want to jump in there because people, and there's a misconception across the board that it's wrong to have a preference. And, you
Mm.
know, when you are dating, funny story, y'all know how I am. So one guy was like, "Oh, you nice and all, but I like my women big." He said, "I know I like my women really big." And he was a little bitty man. He said, "That's my personal preference. I think they are beautiful." He said, "But you nice, but I like." And I did not get offended. I was really intrigued by his preference. And so I think it's okay that that should not be, you know, something frowned upon, but you can't make your preference the standard across the board for everybody. Like you have to understand that's your preference and everybody has the right to have theirs. I would rather in dating that you say what your preference is because what you're not going to do is turn me into your preference. Right? So if I'm not already your preference in the beginning, we're not going to make it mold me into your preference. Now, you can grow together, you know, and get better together. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm saying, like, there's actual people that try to make you their preference because they may like other little stuff, but their preference is their preference. So I think that's a big misconception on both sides that it's wrong to have a preference. Please choose your preference and be okay with that so you don't hurt people's feelings.
And that is just like um the with the flip side of that, believing that every man as a woman should want you.
Mhm.
The women that walk around are like, oh, you must be gay because if you don't want me, really, lady, really? So every man in the world is supposed to like you. That's ridiculous. And the same thing with the guy. Oh, something wrong with you because you don't want me. Please, sir. Preferences. That's ridiculous when people think that everybody should want you, or like you. It's just no. So those were great, all great points.
You know, even with ethnicity, because I told a friend of mine, like, I prefer black men. And I had brought up the Bible saying, do not intermarry. And they kind of went off on me and was like, well, what if this ethnicity, what if a Mexican or Asian or this person and that person, if he's showing you the world, you've tried black men and haven't had success with them and stuff. I'm like, I still like black men though. So, I mean, what do you want me to do? Like, I just don't see me with. And more power to whoever, if you want an interracial date, that's that's your preference.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Great point. Anyone have anything else you want to bring in? Lori?
Yes, I have a monkey wrench. I'm gonna blow it all up. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Um, it is a genuine question for the guys though. So we were talking about unfair misconceptions and like taking care of yourselves and one partner being fly, the other one is what happened there. So my question is specifically for the men. My question is, when does caring about your physical being kick in? Because I remember being in school and I was like, y'all stink. Y'all don't take showers. What's wrong with you? Ew, disgusting. And then at some point it changed, it shifted, And I'll tell you that my mind goes to where Casina was talking about. So now there's a market, a bigger market for um, hygienic products tailored to and for men. So it's become a little more widespread now. So yeah, was that clear or was I rambling?
Yeah, that was nice. That was nice. I would say, um, for me personally, I would say, I mean, my mom played a big role into it. Like, mom, like, hey, look, you can't be around me stinking. You feel me? And but so I had got to a point. I think my first time when I knew I stunk was like I was like 8 years old, and I was 9. It was a basketball game. Yeah, so I didn't used to use deodorant. I never used deodorant. You know what I'm saying? So we was in the car on the way to the game. I was like, man, something stank, something is, Then I done played the game. Then so when after I played the game, it was even worse. It done, you know what I'm saying? It times it up by 3. Like, boy, what you got going on? She embarrassed me in front of everybody. Boy, you ain't washed, but I did wash, but I didn't use deodorant. I never used deodorant. So then fast forward, that's when I first started using deodorant. So I would say like just the embarrassment, honestly. The embarrassment helped me out. And but then even fast forward, like I didn't even know about like colognes and my oils. I didn't know about that till I got to my 20s. I wasn't really into that. I'll get my cut every 2 weeks, and I would also say that maybe it's some male structure with it too, because the males who hold themselves well, a lot of males who hold themselves well, they would give you that game, but I mean, yeah, I wasn't around that. So once I started surrounding myself around more men, which I got to college around that, then I'm like, oh, okay, like yeah, but you gotta have some smell good. You don't got no smell good. You don't got no signature. I'm like, huh? Wait, you paid $200 for some cologne? Boy, you tripping? You know what I mean? But you know what I'm saying? But it's an investment in yourself and understanding. And the more I started caring about my body, the more I started knowing that yeah, like my body is a temple. And I started treating this temple, and my temple decked out. Now it's luxury. You hear me? Like yeah, so I'm about to be smelling good, feeling good, looking good everywhere I go. Straight like that. I'm in the image of the Most High.
I think
I can dig it.
Rebels.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I think the men they have because I have 2 sons and they ain't listening, so they get mad later. But they would sometimes they would be in the shower, like they'll get in the shower and they wouldn't be washing up, right? They'll turn the shower on and be standing away from the water, as they little. But then when they got teenagers, they told me this after when they was grown, that they would wear their underwear one time, take it off, fold it up, and put it back in the drawer.
Oh no.
So, I think like my husband said, men take a little bit more time to get there. Like Robbie said, 20s. So my husband said about 19, 20, you may really start noticing. I always say, I'm just a woman. I always say your first little love, your first little crush, with the girl may, say something to you if she like you. But that's very interesting how men, they do the basic, but like he said, if I don't stink, I'm not putting on no deodorant or oil or lotion. So I do think that, but then my misconception, straight up, I'm just being honest, and I had to learn that men that care about themselves and grooming, they're not effeminate, right? And so I don't know where I got that from, like men, but back then, y'all, as we are older, when the AIDS epidemic came and, you found Eddie Murphy in a car with a, with a transvestite back then. So I think, with me being older, seeing how men wanted womanly men, you know, to be with. And so I guess I equated that with, oh, if a man is too, groomed, that he is, batting for the other team. So I had to learn that because as a woman, I don't want my husband ashy. I know he a truck driver, but I want his fingernails clean. I want him to his beard nice. So I would, he clean like he used olive olay. Honey, don't get me. So his favorite soap is olive olay. Don't get me. So he about that life, but I think men, how I saw the misconception of a well-groomed man, and I know they named themselves metrosexual men. So I didn't know what that meant either. I was like, what is a metrosexual? I'm old school, y'all, so I'm learning. I know, right? I'm learning terms, right? And not to make everybody effeminate. So I'm still learning, the how men are now, visualizing themselves, and not everything is that you batting for the other team. You just coming into an awakening of sorts. So that's,
Right.
it's an old school way of thinking, but I'm just being truthful. Like it's too many. Back then, when the AIDS epidemic, there's too many down low brothers getting caught on the
Correct.
scene with men
Correct.
look like women. So
Correct. And that was a big thing because I remember when we were, when I was younger and running around with my friends, we would look at guys and say, oh, he too squeaky. He is too squeaky clean. No. Mm-mm. We'd be like, yeah. Now, I don't want anybody that's one of the first things that I would look at. And I did when I met my husband, I looked at his nails. Because if he had dirty nails, dirt under his nails, I'm like, yeah, you ain't touching me. Bye bye, baby. Not, don't want to talk, don't have nothing to say. But there is, now not saying he, because the kind of work that he did, sometimes, but I'm telling you, I saw that his nails were always groomed, always clean. And he was very into, how he looked. And that's one of the things that I really liked about him, that he cared about how he looked. So when he came and we were dating, he would, and I was the same way. I cared about how I looked when he came, but it wasn't a thing. He didn't look feminine. He didn't have that look of like, So, but we did. We did. We used to say that that men were too squeaky clean, and he wasn't. He was on the other side, on the other team. Had a little too much sugar in the coffee.
my husband
Any
in the chat. You see the chat, Rabbis? Can you see the
No,
chat?
I can't see the chat. It's not.
Let me put it up there. Elder, don't start.
Well, that's
Don't start, Elder. Not on this.
all the men are concerned about the woman's money.
Other people now.
Well, coming from a younger woman that has dated older men, I can attest to that being very true. And I say that in the sense of not like, please don't get me wrong, not like a sugar daddy kind of thing, but just genuinely, I think the older generation, there are gender norms that are just solidified in that generation where men of a certain age or men that have been raised by men that have a certain standard, it's second nature to them. Like they're not thinking about what the woman, like they don't really care about financially what she brings, quote unquote, to the table. It's okay, what do you do for a living? Cool. And they're moving on to figure out who you are as a person, and how you can benefit their life. versus I do feel like in our generation, I think money is a much more important to talk topic that is on the brain of both sexes because of how much societally we've seen in the pressures of finances, right? Like when I was 8, the housing market was crashing. I've never known a stable economy in my lifetime. We've been in recessions and depressions every 4 years. Okay, so I think that the conversation is a little different for us when we're talking about money, but I do think that there are plenty of men in our generation that they aren't concerned about the women they date, the money that they bring. However, they do have an understanding that they will not be manipulated by women that only care about money. So I think there's uh not not a give and take, but I think that there is an understanding of the type of women that they prefer to date, women that aren't manipulative, right? That don't have this undertone of gold digging, or what do they say, sprinkle sprinkle. Like, I think that's stupid, but yeah.
It
Yeah.
seems that older men, and we're going to move on to five. It seems to me that older men seem to have different views, or so they're looking more. Um, we see it a lot here. So we have a lot of American men who come over, and the first thing they do is get a very young Ghanaian woman. And it doesn't matter. They might be 70 years old, and they'll get, marry 25, 30-year old. Emmanuel, you can attest to this. 30-year-old Ghanaian, woman. So it's more like they're someone to be comforted. I mean, oh, and they'll have children, like 70 years old, and they're looking for a something different. So they're looking for comfort, something that they can comfort them as they continue grow older. And I mean, because there's, so I think there's a difference in what they're looking for. You know,
Let me put this comment up. So,
Mhm.
looking, are we going to address this?
Yes. Especially when hypocrisy is
um I mean, me personally, I feel like this is a detriment to dating. I think that you should very much so be paying attention to the way someone looks. I think that we live in a society right now that is very much so wanting to be like everything has to be politically correct. Going back to like preferences, like telling people that they can't have a preference. Like, you should love everyone. You should like everyone. Everyone, you should be open to dating everyone. And I think that is detrimental to someone's individual dating journey. I do think that you should I can care less about your personality if I'm not attracted to you. If you're ugly to me, it does not matter that you're able to financially provide, because there's no longevity in that. And I think that a lot of young women fall into that trap when they do date older men, because okay, I don't care that he's 65. He can take care of me, cool. But when he dies in 2 years, girl, now you back in the dating pool. Yeah, you got a little extra cash in your account, but you're back out there in the dating pool again, babes. So it's like, what are you dating for? And I think that when you don't date for a look, for your preference, it's like Casina was saying. If she knows that she wants to date black men, but she's dating white and Hispanic men over and over and over again, it's wasting her time if her end goal is marriage or long term partnership. Because it does not matter how many great white men she meets and how many families she's entertaining, she's not fulfilled in a part of her soul. And I think that a lot of times as women, we oftentimes put our own needs of what we actually want on the back burner based on what society says we should desire. So I do think that the way someone looks is a very key component in you being happy and healthy in a relationship that is supposed to have longevity. And I do think that it is a premium. I think you should be attracted. I think that your partner, you should think that they are as fine as red wine, because I think that also alleviates a lot of open doors that can come down the future if you are sexually unsatisfied, physically unsatisfied, whatever the case may be. Date people that you think are cute. Date people that you are attracted to. Now, I'm not saying go out there and date dumb people just because they're cute, no, or superficial people just because they're cute. But I'm saying that don't forsake the physicality just because you're wanting someone that has all these other things.
And can I say this really quick? There is such thing as of attraction. So attraction does not always go by if a man is extremely handsome or a woman is extremely beautiful. It's an attraction that happens between two people when they meet. And so it can, I get what the person is saying here. I said, I think though, I'm agreeing with Gloria, you have to first be attracted to the person. And I don't think it's fair to put that's kind of a broad, too broad or generalized statement. And it brings into play another piece that you care about what other people think. And in a relationship, going into a relationship, you can't always care about what other people think. When I met my husband, I didn't really, I brought him home so my mom and dad could meet them, but I really liked him. So I really didn't, I didn't really care what they thought because I liked him. Because bottom line, who's going to have to, we get married, who's going to have to live the rest of their life with them? So, I mean, we see marriages and they're called, what do they call when the parents come and
Arranged
oh,
marriages.
Arranged
marriages,
marriages.
arranged marriages. So, you have a lot, sometimes in the African cultures, they have those types of things where they're arranged. Some work out, some don't. And but I think it's really important that you be honest. To thine own self be true. The laws of attraction may attract you to a person whether they are really handsome, really beautiful, or not.
I was just gonna say
Right.
really quickly too, and I think it's also like I've heard stories on socials of people saying like, "Oh yeah, I used to date men that were a 10 or women that were a 10, but my wife is a 6." Like, yeah, like this was a whole thing last year where like people were getting on and telling their dating stories of like, well, yeah, like you don't always date your type. Like you don't always marry your type. Like you may have dated 10s, but like your husband may be a 7. And I'm just like, what does that do to your relationship that you're actually in, like your mindset of thinking that the person that you're with isn't the best person that you could have been with physically. I know physically isn't everything, but I don't think we place enough importance. I think we wash over the physical part really a lot of times to be socially acceptable. But I think that you should for sure think that the person you're with is the creme de la creme. Like I said, because I think that it just alleviates a lot of other potential problems in the future. But sorry, Lori, go ahead.
So I'm gonna take first of all, one of my staple statements is attraction makes the world go round. It brings about babies. Babies propagate the human race. Period. Point blank. But to the statement that the commenter made, I agree. Liking a man or woman for the way they look, full stop. I think that's a mistake. Why are you with that person? Because he fine. Because she fine. And that's it. That's all you got. It's a terrible, terrible way to go about dating. Seriously, I'll say that. So liking someone simply for the way they look, I think, is a mistake. You do miss the human being that is inside. However, I absolutely 110 million% agree that you should be physically, you should feel some sort of physical attraction to your partner. And I know of people who are like, yeah, we know we were not each other's type, but that's the love of my life. And I go down fighting for them. That's what I'm talking about. We understand that we all have preferences. We all get that. But that preference might not encase the person that you need to be with. But the person that you need to be with, you'll be attracted to because of all of the myriad of things that are amazing about them. So, just to say, liking someone for the way they look is probably a bad idea. Liking them only for the way they look is a bad idea. I'm going to stop there.
I think y'all hit everything. Y'all summed it all up. Gloria, that was amazing. And then stopping it, Lori, with the okay, well, if we want to do it at this perspective where we just stop at look, okay, cool, we can, yeah, of course not just be surface level, but definitely we cannot deny that attraction is inevitable. Also, we also have to start thinking about like the marriages that ends with a lot of cheating and infidelity. Why are they cheating? Oh, because I wasn't attracted to this person. There was way more other people out there who I was attracted to and all this extra stuff. Whereas, if I was just having the attraction plus the insight and the wisdom to look for, then okay, I'm not going to be seeking elsewhere. I got everything I need. My girl bad. She know how to pour into me. She helped me out. Yeah, I'm good. But now if it's like, okay, I'm going to be constantly looking, okay, this girl look better than this girl look better. This girl look, that's, so I see why a lot of people cheat because they not looking for looks. So it's like, okay, yeah, you're gonna find better. But now, if I actually like somebody and I'm attracted to them and I'm attracted to their inside as well, it's like, okay, I don't even want to look elsewhere. Even if I'm upset with you, I don't want to, even if, nah, I ain't gonna say even if you oink oink right now, but even if I'm upset with you, I don't want to look elsewhere because you got me. But you can't have me if I'm not comprehensively. It's just like walking it out. Like you gotta walk it out with the fruits, but also it has to be inside of you as well. So it's just that. It's literally the same.
Yeah, one thing I don't like when you look at the statistics, and if you have been any type of leader, minister, or anything, most people they out there cheating. Porn addiction is high. And I always, I know there's different types of reasons for it all. However, just having to counsel and be a part of so many different things, you have people that will say, especially in the faith, I'm married for ministry. End up broken up, cheating, not even having sex with their spouses. Y'all, listen, I'm gonna keep it real. And it sounds nice. It sounds cute. But when you are having a counsel and talk to people and get advice, they ain't even been more attracted to each other or whatever. And so I'm saying we need to be more honest. Like, be honest. And I understand about, I understand both sides, but to be honest, we are human, okay? And you cannot stop at looks. However, I'm saying, why did you just marry the next best thing so you can have some type of secure? I don't know what it is, and it could be, it's mostly men, but it is women too. you just have this marriage that looks great, right? But deep down inside, you wish you had her. You wish you had her. I mean, y'all, let's just be honest. You wish you had her. And so I just think we need to be honest because it's too much infidelity, sexual perversion that's happening inside of marriages. And I'm talking about even in the faith. I ain't even got to go in the world. I talk about in the faith. It's some get down with the get down that's happening in all faith sectors. It's quite disturbing when you find out what's seriously, y'all. I mean, when you get older and you have been you like threesomes. Why are you pulling in? Seriously, y'all. Now y'all know we talk real. You married, been married,
Yep,
did
swingers.
swingers,
Mm,
and I'm
mm,
like, so you just wasn't
mm,
satisfied. So I think it all goes hand in hand. You need to really marry who you are satisfied with in
mm,
all the areas so you don't go outside and be pulling different people
right,
inside your marriage.
right.
Now, I know the world has a different view. Some people have open marriages and all that. I'm, no, I'm traditional marriage values that we're speaking of. I can't speak of the others. But while I'm saying traditional, they act like they want a traditional marriage. But I just told you that I'm talking about people inside of the faith that swingers and that pull other people in, other people out of the seats of the pews and pull them into their marriage bed.
Mhm.
So something is going really wrong in the faith sector. And I
Mhm.
know it's going wrong in the world, but what about the faith sector that's supposed to have these liking a man or a woman for the way they look is missing the human being? You would think that that would be inside of the faith sector, but it is not. And the faith sector also has one of the highest rates of porn,
That's right.
both sides. I'm
Hmm.
not harping on
Right.
men, I'm talking about women too. So we just have to have these honest conversations. Are we gonna get to the answer tonight? No. But I just wanted to put that out there. It's cute to say stuff like that. But the get down is the get down is you would be disturbed if I told you some stuff that be going on up beside the church. All right, I'm done.
Mhm. And that's why we're going to let that statement, that right there, take us into our next TRV, where we'll be talking about patriarchal marriage. And really tear that apart and discuss it, from a cultural standpoint and from a biblical standpoint. So let's go. Is anyone have anything else you want to say concerning this? We're going to move on to the next question. And I'm trying to keep up with the times to make sure of what we're looking at here. So yeah, we're gonna make this I think the last question, if everybody's good with that. Okay, so this is a deep one, and it's for you to finish the sentence. So it says, a man's deepest emotional need is. So we're going to also, now the question was put in there by one of our ladies, but I guess we can also say a woman's deepest emotional need is. So, men, a man's deepest emotional need is, and then ladies, a woman's deepest emotional need is.
Don't be scared, y'all. Now y'all gonna get to this question. Be quiet.
Go ahead, E.
Well, to me, okay, Lami.
I was telling you to go, E.
Well, to me, my deepest emotional need is you respecting me. If you respect me in a relationship and you value me, man, you are doing the great thing for me, and I'll value it a lot. For you to respect me and value me, you are doing me a great honor, and I'll never forget that. That's to me.
Yes, amazing. Definitely, I feel like respect is definitely our biggest thing that we're gonna go to. But and then it's like how can y'all show that respect? So earlier, whenever Emmanuel had said about just even asking our opinions on things, that means like that's showing that you trust our leadership. That's just something simple. It's something as simple as, hey, what do you think about this? Okay, you actually trust in my direction. Um, but definitely just respecting us, like showing value, and whenever you respect us, it makes us show up, and it makes us just want to give you the world. But then whenever we feel like we ain't respected, it's just like, hi, whatever, here you goes. And it makes me not want to think about where you coming from. It makes me not want to do all of the things that I can that I have the ability to do, because it's just like, yo, you don't respect this here, and like you deserve to like, I don't know. It's just and maybe that's an ego thing, and I don't want to make it like a like ego stroking, but like we like to be seen. A lot of things go unnoticed that we do, and that's perfectly okay. We don't want to get applauded every single time, but just show us some respect so we can keep doing these little things. Because trust me, like serving y'all, to be willing to put our lives on the line and die and all this extra stuff. We're not asking every single second of the day that, hey, baby, thank you for being willing to die for me. But it's just more so like, hey, come on, value me. Hey, show me in my love language. Show up in my love language. Show me that you're trying. You know what I mean? And attempt to really just respect that you value this, because not everybody will give you. And that's another thing, like respect, because I know that all men out here they are not like walking on the same path as me or different things. So I know it's, hey, you go mess with them other men. I promise you they're not gonna be doing half the things that I'm gonna do for you. So look, please just respect what you have here. If not, okay, deuces. But yeah, that part. We definitely my deepest need is respect and value, to be valued and cherished.
So I have a question just for the men before the women come in, and y'all give your part. Your deepest emotional need is for our men. Uh, do you believe that? Oh, did we lose Lami? Oh, there he is. Okay. Do you
I'm
believe?
back. I'm back.
Do you believe that respect has to be um, earned, or a person should just respect?
Well, I believe respect has been earned. You have to work for it. You are not just supposed to earn it because you are a man, so you just have to. No, you have to work for it. And moreover, there is a state that before you get respected, you have to respect your opponent too. So I think you have to earn it.
Yeah, I definitely think it's earned. It's earned, but at the same time, uh, it should be a base value of respect, though. Like, but however, the towards the value that we're seeking, they got to be earned. Like, I got to display what I'm asking for. Like, yeah, I'm telling you, hey, you can't get this anywhere else, or everywhere else. Blah blah blah. Men are not going to be treating you this way because their values are not aligned the same way as my values are. But it's that display of that. So I earned it by displaying them fruits of patience, of kindness, because not everybody is going to put up with you whenever you say, hey, look, I'm emotional, so I don't really want to talk about certain topics. I'm going to keep that in mind. There's a lot of folk out here who be like, bro, I don't care about them emotions. You about to listen to me. You know what I'm saying? So it's different things. So we have to display it. So I would say it's definitely earned. Um, it's definitely earned, and that's why whenever we're figuring each other out, that continues to go there. So typically, yeah, the respect isn't really there at the beginning. At first, you, okay, yeah, I hear you, but then it's gonna be, oh, I see you too. I hear and see you. You know, so it's definitely earned. Definitely earned.
So, so if a person doesn't matter, say if a person is, if they're, because you brought out emotion, if there is a situation that's going on, would you agree that uh, you should um, consider if there is a scenario or a situation that's challenging her is going on, that there should be a level of understanding there to where, not saying that a person should just completely flat out disrespect you for, in arguments and discussions or disagreements, we know you can, they can get heated, and sometimes you can say things that you don't really mean, and a lot of times have to, make up for that, or say I'm sorry, or this is why I said that. um does that have uh, uh, a hold on the respect or whatever aspect if the person is having a situation is going on?
Well, to me, I think sometimes you have to place yourself in your opponent's shoe. You have to consider what the other person feel. Because even though I want you to respect me, I also have to consider what you are going through before I will take my respect first. So sometimes you just don't have to let her, you know, you just have to consider her first. I consider her first.
I like that. I like that, Emmanuel. Also, definitely, I would just say, you, as men, yeah, we just deal. Sometimes we have to deal with it and understand. Hey, they just acting out right now, you know. And again, like you just said, putting yourself in their shoes. What are they acting out from? Sometimes, I can feel like I feel more disrespected when I'm trying to say something and you're not listening to me than whenever you're acting out from one of your triggers. Because I mean, I get it. I triggered you, and now you done said this that you didn't mean. I know you just acting out right now. It's okay. Let's rerun it back. Let's take some time. We'll get back to it. All right. It's going to be heated moments. We're human. You're a woman. I'm a man. We're wired differently. You see things one way. I see things another way. We're going to butt heads. That's perfectly fine. But respect for me, when I start feeling disrespected, is okay. Now you are not trying to put yourself in my shoes, like I'm trying to do the same. It's the reciprocation. It's the, okay, I'm being consistent. It's the I would say the accountability too. Like I feel like another respect thing would be like, because us, we the logical, we trying to be on the accountability side, and then it's just like, okay, do you respect for me enough? Do you respect me enough to hold you accountable whenever you done acted out, and then now it's time to actually talk about this stuff, or you just gonna keep brushing me off and all this extra. It's stuff like that, like, so uh it doesn't excuse, I would say it's not an excuse for immaturity. It's not an excuse, and I wouldn't excuse these things, but at the end of the day, we're going to argue, we're going to have disagreements, and the respect being there is, okay, we still cherish what we have building, and we're still wanting to work through this regardless of the emotions that we have to feel. That's energy and motion that's going to leave regardless. And then getting back to, okay, well, do you still take my advice? Do you still want to walk forward? Do you, and all that extra stuff. And what if I was acting out because I want that same reciprocation. Because now look, when like you can act out a lot of times, but now sometimes, like I said, we've been carrying a lot of stuff. So now what if I have one of those days where I act out? Are you gonna respect me enough to okay, you just have one of those days. You had a long day. Hold on, let me think why you know what I'm saying? So stuff like that. And again, it always just goes a compilation of actions.
Okay,
Yeah,
ladies.
that's the word reciprocate. That's it. That's it. So when I'm trying to consider you and you don't consider me, man, you are giving me a red flag, and I'm going to put that into action. I'm not going to give you a chance anymore.
Great points. Great,
Yes.
man.
I have
Yes.
a question. Can y'all
Yeah.
hear me?
Oh, go ahead.
Yes.
Okay, because I put my AirPod in. Okay, sorry. I have a question for like a follow-up question if I can for the guys, because I noticed that both of you mentioned respect. When dating or going into a partnership with someone, I feel like respect is different for everybody. Like people come from different levels of like this is what respect means to me. This is what disrespect looks like to me. Like for me, don't call me out of my name. That's disrespectful. I don't care like if you're thinking of it as being funny or like it's not funny to call me out of my name, right? But for some people they grew up being cussed at and called out their name. So it don't it don't phase them at all. You know what I'm saying? For me, that's crossing the line. Like we're not gonna cross that line. So when y'all say respect, is that a conversation that y'all are having up front of like these are the things that are respectful to me or are disrespectful to me? Or are you or and this is no right or wrong answer, I'm just genuinely asking, or do you wait for the moment to happen to then explain like, hey, this was disrespectful to me? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. Like that saying that's been going around. I run a strict program. It's a strict program over here. Day one, I'm setting boundaries. Hey, look, this is what you know what I'm saying? This is what I like. This is what I don't like. You feel me? You're going to be with the program. You ain't. And then as it goes along, I'm not going to be able to like name everything the first time, you know, especially as triggers come up, as different triggers come up. It's like, okay, oh, by the way, this one too? Yeah, I ain't rocking with it. You know what I mean? But just saying it in a way of we're still working towards something, but it's just pretty much you have to draw that line. And as men, I feel like we supposed to lead. We supposed to go ahead and lead with that. Go ahead and draw that line for boundaries. And if they still want to align with it, then align with it. But also, I'm seeking their boundaries as well. So for instance, my woman, that's the biggest thing right there. Don't call me out of my name. Don't curse at me. But I come from, bro, my whole life, all we do is we drawing on each other. You feel me? We talking drunk. So, but I gotta. So every time I speak, I gotta. Okay, hold on, my bad. I apologize. Let me not even go there. But I think before I speak. So, but it's all. If she would have never told me that, then then it would be okay. Then it was constant arguments. But she tells me that, so I gotta keep that in mind. So it's just you have to have boundaries. Got to. And then that's when I can be like, yo, you disrespecting me because I've been told you I don't like this. You know I don't like this. But I can't feel disrespected if I've never said anything about it. It's just like, hey, it is what it is. I'll chalk that up. But now once you know better, you better do better. You better act right.
Yeah, Lami, that's it. If you know you gotta do better, that's it. That's it.
Amen to the strict program. Amen.
Yes to the boundaries and communicating those boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
We forget the communicate part. Like, you should have known. You didn't tell me. Okay. Now I know. All right. But can I answer now? Or is it? Okay. Wait. I would say I just asked because mine is super, super simple. I think a woman's deepest emotional need is security. Looking back in history, everything that women have done is to try to survive, secure life. I just need to survive. Let me secure whatever I need to so that I can live. Security, I think, is my is a woman's deepest emotional need. I'm gonna leave it there.
I agree because I was going to say the same thing. Because, like, even thinking of my own personal experience of, well, like, okay, my father was not in my life. So there's sort of an abandonment issue as well, but there's still the aspect of security, secure me, protect me, you know, and of course, protection isn't just like you can physically fight to protect me, but protect my emotions and my mental, my spiritual aspects and stuff. Um, Allow me to feel secure and safe with you, that I can open up to you and be able to trust that if I tell you something, it's one, going to be received, two, it's not going to be spread all over social media or, everybody in the town knows about it kind of thing. So, yes, secure.
Well, I do think security is a big one. For me, I would say consideration. There's the phrase that says, to be loved is to be considered. And I think that for a man to consider a woman, personally, I feel like security plays into that. Because if you're thinking about the ways in which your actions affect me, I kind of feel like inadvertently there's a level of security that comes there. There's a level of respect that comes there. There's a level of trust that comes there. I feel like all of the basic things that we look for in a relationship can fall under the umbrella of consideration, because if you are considering someone, it's almost as if you are looking at them as you would yourself. And I think that is a huge form of, to use Lori's word from weeks ago, empathy, but also to be looking at them as if they were you. And how would you treat you, right? What is the best decision that you would make for yourself? Now we're talking about people that are healed, that are thinking clearly, right? Not people that are just like irrational. Um, but I think for a woman to be considered by her partner is huge, right? Because a lot of times as women, we do get the short end of the stick of being the emotional ones in the relationship. But to Lami's point, like if you're considering like, why is she reacting this way? Why is she responding? That's a consideration, right? To Lori's point about security, if a woman does not feel that she is, I'll just say finances because that's a big topic, right? Financially secure after you told her she would be, maybe y'all lost a source of income and now you're considering how that affects her. I feel like that goes a long way. So I think for me, consideration is over encompassing, and it goes for the smallest things as well as the biggest things. Like, hey, you need gas in your car? If you know I drive 40 miles, I mean, I don't, but if you know I drive 40 miles every day for work, let me put gas in your car. Not saying that it has to be like, again, a give and take. That's something that a man has to do. But considering the fact that you love her and you know this is something that she has to do, that's a part of security too, right? And on the vice versa, I think, I mean, not to speak for men, but I feel like men want to be considered as well. And I think that's something that, just listening to Emmanuel and Lami talk throughout this whole conversation, is that a lot of times men aren't considered in the same way that women are often considered socially in dating. That men often, their emotions often aren't considered in scenarios. The level of respect that they're given. Like I tell some of my girlfriends talk horrible to the men they're dating. I'm like, why would you answer the phone like, hey, bro, ain't this the dude you trying to, like, you like him, right? Ew. Why are you treating him like he your friend? Like, so, or, just talking down to men, like talking down to them like they're children. I think that, again, that's not consideration, which respect falls under that, right? So, yeah, I think consideration would be a woman's deepest emotional need, and that it overcompasses a plethora of things.
I want to jump in there because I'm just thinking about a movie I saw the other night where a young lady goes to her father and says, I'm a destroyer man," and he says, "Oh, you dating again?" I thought that was so funny because he knew her personality, her character. But it was so
Seriously, I have some girlfriends that are like, they would consider, like, they're considered man eaters. Like, they take it upon themselves to date men just to either belittle them or to, it's like a power trip. Like, I'm gonna get you before you get me. And I think that's a whole, like, going against the patriarchy kind of mindset. But it's like, girl, that's just you and your world. Like, men actually, there are a lot of men that actually aren't moving here out trying to out to get you, kind of thing. But I think that a lot of women fall into the trap of thinking that men don't have emotions, and that they're only a meal ticket, and that they're only supposed to be here to provide, protect, and that's it. Like, you don't care about his thoughts, his feelings, if he like you, what his mama think about you. You don't care about none of that. You don't care about his favorite ice cream. You don't care if he got bad feet. You don't care. Like, you literally just care about, like, if he can provide, like, if he can pay your bills, and if you can say, like, you're married. And I think that's so stupid. Um, and I think it shows up when how people talk about their partner. You can really tell whether or not they're in their relationship for the right reason, and whether, like, to everyone's point, whether they do respect their partner, and whether their partner also provides security, whether there's respect and security, I'll say, overall in the relationship, and what that looks like. You can tell by the way people talk about the people they date.
There's something to the statement, how you know someone loves you or someone cares about you when you can trust their name in your mouth.
Did she freeze?
And I am frozen.
Can hear you. She might can't hear us. Okay. Is she back? She's frozen. Okay.
Am I
Okay.
back?
Yeah.
Am I? Can you? I said, and I'm frozen. But when you can trust someone, because from a woman's, I see from perspective that security is big, because, and not just security in you, can you take care of me? Can you secure? But security as in uh, have my back, you know, be, I need somebody, Team Vita, you know what I'm saying? you know, because it doesn't feel good if you feel like someone is taking, the side of someone else, and this person is supposed to be, your, you know, your someone who you are in a relationship with. So that's a kind of a red flag, and something really that should be looked at, because even with a person's parents or family, when you take this person to meet your family. And I just think it's a terrible thing when the family is just going in on this person, and you brought them to your home to meet your family, and your family is just like bashing this person. And it's like, wait, you need to stand up and say something. I don't care that that's your mother. Your mother needs to understand and I am choosing and have brought home to meet you, or to this family function. I'm going to need for y'all to respect, you know and that will make a person feel, I think that'll make a man or a woman feel, okay, this is someone who I think, we can have a deeper relationship. Because that would be a terrible feeling, that you don't even have that person having your back, and your family is just going in. And I've known things like that to happen. And the person just stood there and didn't respond because it was their mother or a patriarch or matriarch, and they were afraid to speak up.
Yeah, because I'm not gonna lie, to use Lami's term, at that point I'm casting you to the swine. Like there's no way you're letting your mom, sister, auntie, whatever, because there's a way to say anything, right? And I think that a lot of times people think that a man or a woman is supposed to be like, oh no, that's my man, don't talk about it. Like, no, there's a very simple way to just shut it down and either remove you and your partner from the conversation, remove from the environment, or just simply shut it down, right? But there's no way that I would be, me personally, if that happened, we could have a conversation about it, but I'm probably going to, like, that's probably going to be my last deck, because for me, I can see that being a problem in the future in so many different situations. If we have kids, if we have a disagreement, if, whatever. And I think too, um, just to piggyback off of what you said, Vita, I think a person's family, how they treat their partner, is very insightful of how they treat that person. And I just say this from experience because, no tea, no shade, but I didn't find out that my whole family didn't like my ex-husband until we were divorced. And we had been married for 7 years. Had no idea. I'm thinking, I'm like, no, y'all liked him. And my sisters was like, no, could not stand him from day one. Blah, blah, blah. My mom was like, no, like just, and I was just like, whole time, had y'all told anybody, we was big old happy family. Like, I think that man still think that my family really likes him, So it's just one of those things where it's like, but what I realized is that out of respect for me, they never came to him out of pocket. They never came to him disrespectfully. Even if it was something that they felt was off kilter, they might have come to me about it. So I do think that a person's family, how they treat your partner is how they're going to treat you. Like, I don't think you're going to come into a family and that your partner's disrespected and that person, they don't respect you. I feel like however they treat that person, that's how they're going to treat you, because you are a reflection of your partner. Like, they don't know you, they know your partner. So if your partner is the thief of the family, they don't think you a thief too, because birds will fall apart together.
Casina, did we get your take on that?
We did. I had also said security, and as far as the family aspect, I know some people who the family does not take well to his wife, but there's nothing, and he doesn't stand up for her. So it's a problem, but the mother, unfortunately, she's one of those that never really let go of that umbilical cord, so to speak. So it's like her sons are also her husband kind of thing. And it's like, ma'am, they're grown with their own families and kids, so you're gonna have to let them go. But yeah, and Gloria, that was also my situation as well of not finding out. No, actually, I think my family did kind of let me know before I married him. They didn't. They was like, "Are you sure?" I should have listened. My bad.
Girl, no. I was in the dark. I had no idea. My family was like, "You want to be the Lulu? We support you 100%." And I went off. And I'm so serious. Y'all are laughing, but like, I'm so serious. Looking back on it, I'm like, oh, okay. But I will say, like, with my boyfriend now, that was something we talked about. That was something I talked to him about very early on, was his relationship with his mother, because he has a great relationship with his mother. But I wanted to know, his past experiences with his past girlfriends, and like how the dynamic worked with the women in his family. Because at the end of the day, if you're supposed to be with somebody long term, you marry their families too. You marry
Hmm.
everything that comes along with their families. And I just have no desire to be in a relationship with someone who cannot stand up to anyone. Period. A man, in my opinion, needs to be able to stand up to people. If not, then why am I with you? If I have to be the one to stand up for everything, no, I'm tired, I'm exhausted. I don't want to be a strong black woman. Okay? And I'm just being very real. Like Miss Christina said, we get real on here. I don't want to be a strong black woman in every single situation. I want to be a little butterfly that can just sit over here and fly, 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 fly. Okay? So it's like, if he can't stand up to the people that he's known the longest, in my opinion, he's not gonna stand up for you out in the world when push comes to shove, right? And so I think it's very important that if that is one of your core values, like it is mine, that you say, like, you have to be very strong. Like Wami said, strict program. You have to be strong on those boundaries, because if you give a little, then those little things, as we know, a little leaven's a whole lump. It's the small foxes, the small things. Then they lead up to big things. Now your mama-in-law can't even come to the baby shower because she don't like you and you don't like her. But now you married and you having babies. That's not a good feeling.
Hmm.
So I think it's important that if you don't care, you don't care. Cool. That's not gonna affect you. But for someone like me, that would affect me. I desire cohesiveness in my family, and so and at the end of the day, I want my man to speak up for me. Don't let your mama talk to me no kind of way. What? Because I'm not gonna let her. I'm gonna say something from the women I came. I was raised by. I'm gonna say something if you're not gonna say nothing, and then I'm gonna say something to you. And like mommy said, catch you to the swine. Bye, because we can't do that.
Yeah, buddy. I agree with like everything y'all have said, for real. If a person cannot um yeah, have a backbone, then we don't have any business being together. Like I remember that was pretty much I'm sorry. I had a boyfriend in college, and we went to visit his family, his mom and his brother. His brother was younger than he was by a couple years, maybe like 5 years or so. Um, so we were in college, maybe like 20. So that means the brother was maybe 15, 16 or so. And they got into a fight. I'm sorry, I'm not laughing. Um, but the little brother beat up my boyfriend, and I was like, I can't, I can't do it. We gotta, we gotta break up. I'm sorry. It wasn't just that. It was the total package. So that was kind of like the last straw. So he was one of those types of people that couldn't stand up to um pretty much anybody. He was very soft hearted, very, very, very much so soft hearted. And in that, I did not feel secure. When it was time for me, I told my daddy, my parents, both of them, this story, I was fussing mad. I called him mad about me changing the tire while he was over there reading the instructions. I was like, okay, so what you're saying is we got to break up. Yeah, so I knew
I remember that.
it was
I remember that.
it was so sad. It was so sad. But I felt, you know what?
Ooh.
I felt real womanly after I changed that tire. And then I felt real scared if the tire was going to stay on, but that's beside the point. Uh, um, and all of that brings me to my kind of circling back to my security point. And as my mom was saying, security is not just, that financial need, is all of the above. Like I need to um I need to know that you're gonna make some stuff happen if you need to make it happen. You need to know that I'm gonna make some stuff happen if I need to make it happen. Because life happens to all of us. Stuff just happens. So I gotta be able to depend on you. And this is where I was actually gonna, I know we're just giving opinions and I don't mean to be the monkey wrench thrower all the time. But I was gonna say, Gloria's point was, um, I'm sorry, what was not security, but consideration.
Consideration.
Yeah, being considered. I was gonna say, I don't know if that would be for me, in my mind, a deepest emotional need for a woman, because a man could consider his wife and be like, "Oh, I'm considering you. I bought you this tent to wear because I don't want you to show your body. This is me considering you," and that is bondage.
But see, I don't think that's true consideration though, right? Because I don't see that as being true consideration, because to consider someone, and from what the point of view I was coming from, was to put yourself in their shoes of what their needs may be, what their desires may be, what their wants may be. So if I don't think it's called consideration if you go out and buy somebody something that you want them to have. That's like love languages. I'm gonna love you how I want to love you, not how you tell me that you want to be loved. It's still love. Yeah, sure. But it's not, I'm not receiving it the way that I need to receive it. I'm receiving it how you're trying to force it upon me. And to your point, that's not consideration, it's bondage, right? It's a form of bondage, it's a form of manipulation. Because somebody could say, well, you told me you like a man that buys you clothes, but you know good well I'm not about to buy nothing from the big, I'm not a 16 plus if I'm a size 4. Like, so it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
you can say you did it, but you didn't do it with the right intention. And again, it's not about your intention, it's about your impact.
Facts. I agree. I guess I'm just thinking of consideration as just a flat word without a positive or negative connotation.
Mm,
Because it kind of sounds like consideration has an overall positive connotation. You considered me. You thought about how this might make me feel. You thought about how
mm-hmm,
this might affect me, blah blah blah. But
mm-hmm,
in truth, the opposite is also true. I considered, whatever the negative thing might be. And I
mm-hmm.
think truly at the end of the day, it's I don't know. I was gonna say mm, all of what you were saying might fall under the umbrella of security, because if a woman feels secure, she feels considered.
Right. And that's what I said too. Like all the different things like respect, security, I feel like it could fall under the form of consideration as well. But I think to your point, um, maybe not respect, but I think security could even also have a negative connotation, right? Some people can be overly secure, right? So it's like overly protective. Um, yes, you have two of those. Hold on. Speaking of hygiene, Micah has two colognes of the same brand. Hold on. Could
Show us your cologne, baby.
okay, sorry. He's very into his hygiene. So, um,
Go, Micah.
yay.
Great.
Great. He's
Good
like,
job.
I don't remember having two of these colognes. Yes, you did. Anyway, so I don't even remember what I was saying. I think I was saying like security. Oh, like yeah, someone could consider a man that is too considerate to be overly secure, right? Or overly protective. And I think that also can come from the point of view of like just your perspective. Um, but I get what you're saying though too, as far as like consideration just being a flat line and not necessarily being overly positive or overly negative.
Yeah. I mean, I feel you too. Absolutely. I
Hmm.
definitely.
Okay. Because I know someone whose person put a tracker on their car. That was before GPS.
Oh wow.
And she took her car to the shop and found out from a mechanic that he had put a tracker on.
But would we call that security though?
But I was about to say, if this
That's
is,
not,
I was about to
that was
say,
over the top.
I was about to say,
That
playing devil's advocate, if this is before the time of sharing locations and GPS and all this stuff, one could one could argue that, and that's what I was saying as far as like being overly secure, like being controlling.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
one could argue that he considered her, right? Like he had his best intention was because what if something happened and she was in a location that he didn't know about, and so now he's concerned. But on the flip side, on the logical side, that's insane. Why are you putting a track on my car? Like it's never that serious.
Mhm.
You could just call me and figure out where I'm at if we have that level of trust, right? So
Right.
that's what I meant by security, though. Like it could also go a little bit too far in the same way that consideration can go left as well.
True.
right.
Very,
True.
very true.
Very, very good. Anyone have anything else you want to bring in? Casina, did you have something else you wanted to bring in?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Well, we thank you guys. The I think this was a great discussion, great conversation. I'm telling y'all are helping, and I know Tina and Deborah will say the same thing. Y'all are definitely bringing out some points and helping, not just your generation, but also all levels concerning relationships. And because we are vintage does not mean that we all got it all right, because we're human, like Lami said. Bottom line, at the end of the day, we're human. Situations, circumstances. There was one thing Lami said about acting out, and I take such a I'm just going to say it. I just hate that term, uh, because to me, see, and this is about language and words, because acting out to me is like speaking to a child, or when we say children, because that's in my thought processes. That's what a child does, acts out. But when an adult is going through a crisis or emotional situation or crisis, or there is a trigger, or if there's something really severe that happened in their life that's causing this, to say you're acting out would be highly, offensive. But I get, brother, what you were what you were saying, but just thinking about that term in my mind. And see, that's where we really have to work on the words, the verbiage, because there's certain things that can be said and it takes you there. Like I had a boss who used to say, let's talk about your potty breaks. And I said, and I froze. Oh, I'm back. Potty breaks. I'm not a child. My 2-year-old at the time, Lori was 3 years old or 4 years old. I got a 4-year-old who takes potty, who goes to the potty. I don't go to the potty. I'm a grown woman. So that there's the words that we use. And so I think that's why it's so important to have these conversations and discussions. Um, so thank you guys. Anybody have anything else you want to say before we close? Before we close out?
I'll say I enjoyed the night. I'm sorry, Lori. I'm so sorry, Lori. I'll just say I enjoyed the night. Definitely with the mixed panel as well. I feel like iron sharpened iron tonight. And definitely it's a balance of everything that we said. I'm taking some notes from y'all, and I hope we pass some isms too. And definitely, but it's definitely a balance to approach and continue to keep going. But I appreciate this. It was smooth, well needed. Y'all keep it up.
Mhm.
Yes, I was just going to say super, super quick on the heels of what my mom said. I think that is a beautiful example of back to our very first question, which was how can we more effectively word statements that are often miscommunicated or misunderstood? So that's another example of using potty breaks. I'm an adult. Acting out. I'm an adult. Like, and that I'm no shade whatsoever. None. But language is so important, and I'm so grateful to Oxtail off Alami. I'm so grateful for these platforms, and specifically this platform where we are able to come together and to just explain ourselves to one another. We need men. We love men. Huzzah!
Yes.
And we need women. We love women. There it is. Let's come together.
Love men.
Unite.
Love men. This is not the she men women hater club. We love men.
I know that's right. I don't want to live in a world where
Right.
Mm.
so let's roll out with our closing.
I cannot hear Christina.
Child talking English. Emmanuel, I think you have to mute your. I think it's Emmanuel. Can you mute your mic, Emmanuel? It's a lot of feedback. Okay, I don't hear it. Emotional intelligence. That's what I was saying. Like the display of emotional intelligence and something that I talk about. I even have an emotional intelligence class geared toward the younger people, but a lot of people say the adults need it too, right? So I'm thinking about that. But this was a great display of that. And, you know, shameless plug to our rite of passage that we're working on. So I didn't want y'all to forget. We are working on the rite of passage, coming up with the curriculum. And one of them is effective listening, learning how to communicate and to effectively listen. That will be part of your rite of passage into faith, like a whole month dedicated to you learning how to communicate effectively and to listen. And, you know, I know this is a podcast, and I wouldn't say it's a control panel because we say how we feel. However, I'm hoping that anybody that watches the replay will take notes on how we are communicating, right? Because sometimes, like you said, words and people's education level, like what happened last time, and sometimes people's triggers causes them not to be able to hear what you are saying, or words that we may use that may trigger that person in education level where they don't understand fully the topic that we're talking about. All of that hit because that happened that one week where one of the sisters got triggered, but she did fix it. And I like that, because this is what this podcast is about: communicating. You might not understand, ask for clarity after something is said, right? And get the clarity, but don't walk away angry and mad, because the podcast is designed for communication. We're not trying to come up with the solution on one show. Like, that's not what this is about. This is about opening up the communication to be able to hear each other effectively so that we can communicate and off camera work on ourselves. So I highly commend you all for the emotional intelligence, just listening, looking, taking notes, and also teaching us, giving us some pointers as elders. Prophetess, did you want to say something before I closed out?
Not particularly. I some thoughts had came, but I just really enjoyed to hear the dynamics and the interaction and just the words that that as they freely spoke, and of their expressing the questions that were addressed. And I thought it was very good, and sometimes not all the time you need to say, and just having that free flow of just bringing out, it was really like a breath of fresh air. And just to see the dynamics and to see, our younger generation. I mean, y'all, I mean, it was good. I thought it was very good. And each one, all and your different points and different things that brought out, and was, and really how each one express their feelings and even experiences, which was really, really good. So I just pray that others will hear, go back and just hear, and it was a lot of good points that were brought out. Like I said, there was some thoughts that came in, and I thought to say, and something just said, you know what, just let them go. I like the free flow, of how things were brought out. Just even certain things that you brought out, Christine, Tina, that that was just bringing out real stuff, because this is what's going on and it's not just in the secular, it's even in the so-called religious sects that's going on, that people aren't addressing.
Yeah.
And what I love is the fact that because it's not, yeah, we are seniors, but I see seniors, they're not expressing and letting things, of the real things that's going on.
Correct.
And so I really enjoyed this. I thought it was very good. I thank you all for just being, having the freedom and just being free to speak, as they say, your truth in essence, So
Yeah.
thank you all for just coming and expressing and answering and participating. Truly, I thought it was really great. Thank you all.
Yes. 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 Really
And
good.
with love, this is the whole point, to get the generation, um, the next generation
Yep.
speaking. And so this has been a great time. I am truly enjoying these discussions. I wish that we had these types of platforms and discussions when the three of us, when we were in
Right.
your age. bracket, because a lot of times we
Absolutely.
just
Absolutely.
feeling away, trying to figure things
Mhm.
out, feeling our way. And most times to Jesus.
Mm.
That was the thing.
Yeah.
Just take it to Yeshua. Just take it to the Most High. Some things you just not gonna have an answer to. You won't. You get an answer way by and by. Yeah, but I'm having this problem right now. Way by and by. So that's a lot of times what we got, because the communication barrier was so thick, and it was so heavy, and it was just nobody wanted to break that barrier. But we're about, I heard a song the other day, and I was like, that's right. That's why, while I was working out, it's like uh, uh, a cycle breaker.
All
That's
right.
right. I want to be a cycle breaker.
Uh-uh. You add it back.
She broke the cycle.
Well, I broke it.
Sorry, I couldn't.
So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna close out. That's what we're about, breaking cycles,
Yes.
especially bad ones.
Hmm.
Absolutely, breaking cycles.
All right, y'all. We gonna close on out. Thank y'all again. Our email. Y'all see it on the screen, but I'm gonna read it anyway. The righteous view 01 at gmail.com. Please send in topics. Seriously. Send in topics that you feel would be beneficial. If you have a degree or special training in a specific area related to women's health and would like to be a special guest, please email your bio and we will review it and reply as soon as we can.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes, yes. Again, we thank all. We will continue this discussion with our guest panelists as they give their perspectives on relationships. So please tune in for the upcoming podcast. If you have enjoyed the podcast so far, please tune in and tell a friend. If you put a comment in the chat that we didn't address, please email us and we will reply as soon as we can.
And we just want to remind everyone, we're looking forward to the next podcast, where we will be discussing patriarchal marriages,
Yes.
patriarchal situations, and we're going to break that down culturally and scripturally. So please tune in for our next podcast. We want to thank everyone again. We thank our panelists, Lori, Gloria, Lami, Emmanuel, Christina. Thank you so much. We love you so much. Thank you for coming on. And Emmanuel, thank you for hanging in there with us, because y'all, it's like o'clock in the morning over here in these Ghana streets, and we still.
Thank you too. I've learned a lot today, so thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank you, Emmanuel.
Thank
We love
you.
you so much. We
Thank
want to say thank you again to our viewing audience. Thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to another edition of The Righteous View. Have a great evening, everyone, and